This is the Coach's Wife Life podcast. I'm Kristen Eargle, your host, a former TV sports reporter and fellow college football coach's wife. I'll go one-on-one with the strong women who are the backbone of college athletics and athletics of all levels. And now, Coach's Wife Life.
This podcast is brought to you by Ruler of Hope. Ruler of Hope is a nonprofit that supports medically fragile children. If you'd like to make a tax-deductible donation, you can use Venmo at Ruler-Hope or online at rulerofhope.org.
Hey there, I'm Kristen Eargle, and we have an exciting podcast ahead. But first, I want to talk about something we all know way too much about: moving. Just the thought of that can bring an unsettling emotion. Well, I found a team that can take that load off your plate. It's D1 Relocation. This group can do it all. They can organize your move, coordinate with a moving company, and a trusted real estate agent. They can actually vet key household partners such as schools, insurance agents, physicians in the area. They can even help set up your Wi-Fi and water. It's incredible. So I've come to know this team, which is actually founded by a coach's wife. I think you should check it out. Whether you're looking to move now or in the future, it's d1relocation.com. Now on to our awesome podcast. I am so thrilled to have Maggie Corbin on the podcast. Maggie is the wife of Tim Corbin, the head baseball coach for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Thank you so much for being a part of us.
Thank you, Kristen. I appreciate it.
Okay, I am fangirling. We have so much to talk about.
I know.
I'm going to get to so many fun details. But first, I want you to describe yourself on game day in 3 words.
Oh, that is a tough one to start with. Okay. And let me just preface by saying I'm really, really honest about everything. So I'm going to say my 3 words would be nervous, anxious, miserable, which is terrible. That's a terrible way to live your life, but I'm just being straight with everyone.
You know, I feel you, and I'll have follow-up for those questions as well. Describe your coach in 3 words.
On game day?
Yes.
Oh, he would be, he puts his uniform on first thing in the morning. So I would say prepared, focused, alert. I mean, he's ready. He's ready to go. He's ready to go. But I'll also come back to my original 3 words and say, I go to practice every day of the year, and I love it. I love practice. I love recruiting. I love everything about this job, this life, except the games.
Because you feel it, don't you? You know the importance. You know how hard they work. And so you're nervous because you know the intricacies of it. It means something.
I know how hard they work. I mean, if you're a regular parent and you have one child and you're watching them and you know how nervous you are, then if you're a coach's wife, you multiply that by, I mean, you got 45 kids on a team. You got, you're feeling for all of them. And you're just, it's painful.
It is painful. Okay, so in case someone's been living under a rock and does not know all the stats, let's go through it. I took this part right off Wikipedia, and I don't usually do that, but it was so well written, and it's unbelievable. You ready for this? I'm just going to read it. Since becoming coach at Vanderbilt in 2003, Corbin has transformed the Commodores from perennial SEC doormat to an elite program. When he arrived in 2003, Vanderbilt had only 6 winning seasons in SEC play. Since became a scholarship sport in 1968 and has only been to 3 NCAA tournaments in school history. Since then, they have been to all but 1 NCAA tournament since 2004. That gives you 2 national titles, 5 College World Series appearances, 4 SEC titles, 3 SEC tournament titles, and 5 SEC East Division titles.
Yeah. It's been a lot. We worked hard.
Why has his formula worked?
I'll start by just saying, when we were at Clemson for 9 years prior, and he had several opportunities to go elsewhere to be a head coach, but he just, we were happy at Clemson. We're raising our kids there. We liked what we were doing. Then we got the call from Vanderbilt and we came to look at it, and everyone was saying, Tim, don't do that. That's like career suicide. Do not do that. But there was something about it that we just felt like you're in arguably the best conference in the country, the SEC. You're the only private school. And at that time, back then in the early 2000s, Stanford, Rice, academic schools were winning in baseball. So we're like, well, why couldn't this work? And so we just took a chance, and they had built a new stadium. We liked the AD. We liked everything about it. We liked Nashville. We jumped in and we just started building. And I don't know what his formula is, but he's like a madman. I mean, he's from early in the morning till late at night. It's all he thinks about. And it's never slowed down for him. Even after a national championship, he comes at it with the same energy, vigor, passion. He's a curious person. He loves to learn, keep learning. He loves these young guys. And I would say his secret sauce is that he's trying to build better young men. And when you build better young men, you build better teams. And when you have better teams, you have more success. And he just hasn't strayed from that. He really is passionate about teaching life skills and whatever, morals, values, leadership traits to young males. He just thinks it's a lost art, or people aren't doing it, especially right now. And he keeps doing it. And I think there's a place for that. And it's served us well.
Oh, I love that. So well put. And I want to hear more and more about your involvement. And I didn't even know you went to practice every day. Oh, yeah. I love this. I'm going to come back to this. Okay, let's talk your life for a bit. Where did you grow up, Maggie? Did you ever envision this life in Nashville on top of the world?
Well, I don't always feel like we're on top of the world, but no, I grew up in a small town in Michigan, Vicksburg, Michigan, out in the country. Grew up with, a couple siblings and my parents, living in a tiny house when that wasn't fashionable. We didn't have much, but, we just had a good life outdoors. Everybody was very athletic. My dad knew how to play tennis and gave me a tennis racket, and I hit against, the garage and became a good tennis player. And I was able to get a tennis scholarship to college, and then become a 3-time All-American in college. And then I taught tennis for 25 years. Oh, so, wow. I have an athletic background, but I never really thought, I didn't really envision my husband at that time. I knew I wanted to play tennis. I loved tennis, and I knew I wanted children. Those were the only 2 things I really knew. But other than that, no, I didn't.
Okay, where did you play college?
College of Charleston.
Oh, yes. Beautiful. And beautiful city, too.
I know. Good place.
Wow. That's incredible. That's Division I. Okay. So how did you guys meet? Where'd your paths cross?
Well, I mean, it's kind of complicated. I'll keep it brief. And I was married before Tim Corbin. And so I was married, believe it or not, I'm not a cleat chaser. I'm going to say that. I'm going to preface by saying that right up front, but I was married to a basketball coach, and we were at Presbyterian College, and he happened to be the baseball coach at the same little school. It's in South Carolina. It's beautiful. And he had a girlfriend, and I was married. Actually, I had a 2-year-old and pregnant with my other one. And we knew of each other because we were in the same athletic department, but that's about the extent of it. Then I went off. We went to Western Carolina, about moving. We went to Western Carolina and Cullowhee, North Carolina, and kind of lost touch with Tim. And during my time there, 5 or 6 years there, not only did my husband get fired, but he also left us. Mm-hmm. So I was single mom, 2 little tiny girls up in the mountains. And I just happened to know, I knew the baseball coach at Western Carolina. He got the job at Clemson. I was friends with them. He hired Tim. We met up again. Wow. Then we started dating. We had known each other, but then we started dating. We dated long distance for 3 or 4 years, because I was still in Cullowhee and he was in Clemson. And then we got married almost 30 years ago.
Wow. A long time. Yes.
And so he has been a wonderful stepfather to our girls, who are now 39 and 36, and they adore him and he adores them. And he often says one of the secrets to his success is when he met me, he had to learn to love someone else's children. And actually, that's really all coaching is. You're loving someone else's children. And so he really, he thinks it was a huge bonus in his career to learn to be a stepfather.
What a powerful story.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And what a beautiful marriage that you have now.
Thank you. It's fun. It's good.
Yes.
Yep.
And you are an all-in coach's wife. And so you coached tennis for a long time. Did you have another job outside of that?
There was a period of time when I was a meeting planner at Clemson University. I was their head meeting planner. I did that for a few years, but I have an MBA, but I've always loved to teach tennis, and I coached tennis in high school. I loved that too. And when our younger daughter left home, it was probably 12, 15 years ago, I dusted off my resume and I said, Tim, I'm going to go out. I've got an MBA. I'm going to get a real job. I'm done teaching tennis. And he's, that night he said, I have something to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about something. I'm like, well, okay, what? He said, would you consider just doing this with me, just doing this with me full time and not going to get another job? You could do anything you want. I would be supportive. You really could do anything you want, but would you consider this? And I just thought that was really unique, really sweet in a way. And it's really worked for us. It's like a family business. This is for us. It doesn't work for everybody. I'm not advocating everyone do it. And certainly the season of my life kind of coincides with doing it. I don't have little ones at home. My parents have passed. I'm not taking care of them. So I have the ability to be present for him.
I love this. He saw the potential that you had to take it to the next level.
Yes.
That's incredible. That is incredible. So what does that look like on a daily basis for you? How do you pour in on a daily basis?
Well, daily basis is, he has a classroom session at 2:30 every day, which I'm going to miss today because of this, which is fine. No, I got to pass. Actually, he has a classroom session every day from 2:30 to 3, where he does not talk about baseball, but rather current events and human male traits, etc. Then from like 3 to 6 or 7 is, we call it training at Vanderbilt. We don't call it practice, we call it training. I go to that. So I go to that every day of the week that we have it, which is 5 or 6 days a week. I'm there. We have a recruiting dinner tonight. We have a recruit coming in. So recruiting time, at every recruiting dinner, I go on the road recruiting. I go to every game. We have fundraisers at our house. I interview new coaches with him. I meet with families when he's placing an offer to a family. Really kind of everything, Wow. I know. I don't make any decisions on the field. I'm not on the field. I'm not in the dugout.
But
very much a part person. Excuse me.
What better person for him to be trusted with helping navigate the most important thing he's been entrusted with?
Yeah. And I think I'm good because as I tell, we have kids from all over the country and in some cases other countries. And when we sit down with a family and say, we're going to take care of your child, we want to walk that talk. They need to know there's a mom here and getting close to being a grandma here that has some old wise eyes that will see the whole program for what it is. And I think that makes parents or whoever has raised this child feel very comfortable about leaving their child with us. And I want them to feel comfortable. And then they have access to me. I give everyone my phone number and I just say, let me know. And so many times, a kid will have an injury and he'll have to go over to the Vanderbilt hospital for a quick surgery. Well, the parents can't get there. That's something I would do. I would never let a kid spend the night in a hospital without me or his parent there. Birthdays, they've got cupcakes. They've got a note from me that tells them how I feel about them. I've been doing that for so many years, and just little things, sometimes I see things that a man can't, like I'll say, Tim, check on Kristen. She looked a little off today. We can see if she's homesick, if she's okay. Those are things that, I don't know. I'm not saying all guys won't pick up on, but women have an innate kind of way of seeing things differently.
Wow, that's beautiful. See, I have been around. We were at Austin P, and the audience probably knows this, a few years ago, and I got to see kind of Vanderbilt baseball a little closer up. And then I would also cover the SEC baseball tournament years ago from Baton Rouge. When ABC filled Baton Rouge, they sent me to the tournament and got to watch you guys. Didn't know you then. I just met you like a few days ago, right? But love your story. Knew there was something unique. Didn't know the intricacies of this. Like, why are they so successful? Why are they so bought in? Like,
well, I'm not saying I'm the reason, but,
it's
different. It's really different.
It's so different.
It's not for everybody. And, honestly, when I had small children, I was involved, but not to this extent, because I understand young coaches' wives who have to have I was busy. My girls were athletes and dancers, and they were busy, and I missed a lot. But at this point, like, what else would I be doing but trying to help, all these young guys in our program? And honestly, I'll say this, I have the ability to be very honest with Tim Corbin, and some people can't, this, as they don't want to upset the head coach, or they're not sure they should say that. Well, honey, I'll say whatever. And he'll listen, and he appreciates the honesty. Not always, but for the most part, he does appreciate the honesty.
Okay, and you see, my audience knows I'm scripted. Okay, we're about to look this up. When is the best time, from your wisdom, from your expertise, to give a little bit of constructive feedback? There's timing, to me, is everything.
Not after the game. Nope.
Thank you. Okay.
Nope. I mean, I can't tell you. And this is full disclosure too. The first maybe 10 years we were here, we've been here 23. The first 10 years after a loss, he slept in the office. He wouldn't come home. Just didn't want to be that guy. And, I will say, when I was a young coach's wife, that kind of hurt my feelings. He's not coming home. He's sleeping in the office, Then I don't know what came over me. It was a long time ago. I just said, you know what? This has nothing to do with me. And he would actually say, this has obviously nothing to do with you or the girls. I just don't want to be a jerk to you. And I know I will be.
Wow.
So he slept in the office. I even bought him a sofa bed. I was all in. And then he started coming home, which I don't know if I like that any better, but I will say we go out to eat every night of the year, 365.
Do you really?
Oh yeah. I don't cook anymore. I don't even have utensils, but which he wanted that several years ago too, which I don't know how I feel about that, but so after loss, we go out, and I literally don't say a word until he says a word.
Okay. This is good.
So it could be a completely quiet meal, like no talking when we get home, and no talking sleeping. And maybe we don't talk till midday the next day, but I let him guide that conversation. And I'm very aware of how he's feeling, after. I'm not necessarily going to give my 2 cents after the loss, maybe a day or two later.
And for you, I would imagine you realize, because this is a situation, you can tell he's very passionate about it. I mean, in all honesty, my husband's sort of the same way. And he's not the head coach here, but he has been a head coach before. Yeah. And I didn't learn that initially. And reporter Kristen's like, why did you go for it? I'm 4 down. Like, I'm just like, oh my God.
I know. What did you bunt there? What are you doing? I know. Yeah.
But like, I've gotten better about it.
Yeah.
But I've also learned that sometimes during their losses, you have personal stuff that's going on that you're upset about. Has nothing to do with the game. Something happened in your family. You're sick. A child is sick.
Yeah.
Did you find some sort of outlet to be able to process that, to let him have his moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, being a single parent, because after my divorce, I was a single parent for probably 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 years, honestly got me ready for being like a high level coach's wife, because there are a lot of times where you're just dealing with those issues, maybe on your own,
Wow.
or maybe later, maybe a day or two later, hey, this what happened to me, and he'll come back around.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, this is so much wisdom. I love this. Okay, I do want to make sure we talk about this. Let's talk about your involvement. And this is beautiful. Maggie Corbin Minority Baseball Apprenticeship. And this is a privately funded apprenticeship for a minority candidate who desires to make coaching baseball a profession. Where did this come about? Where did you get the idea? Tell me about the impact.
Well, at the ABCA convention every year, the American Baseball Coaches Association, they talk about how do we get more minority players in, what are we doing? How can we get more minority coaches in? And so literally Tim and I were laying in bed one morning and we were just talking, and I just had this idea, and I said, it's not really an idea, it was a revelation. If a minority can't get a job because they don't have any experience, how are they ever going to get experience if they don't have a job? Like, it's a never ending cycle of not happening. So I said, what can we do? And then I thought, what if we named it? It doesn't have to be a job, but what if it was an internship or an apprenticeship? We have great coaches here at Vanderbilt that could really teach someone something. What if we privately funded a way for a minority coach to come here and just live in Nashville and work in our program, and at every aspect of it, learn pitching, learn the hitting, learn scheduling, learn uniform ordering, learn, fundraising, everything for a year, and then, help them with their housing and all that, and then see what happens. So we did it, and Jabari Brown was our first recipient. And after a year, we realized he might need more than 1 year. And he asked if he could stay another year. He said, there's so much more I want to learn. So sure enough, he stayed another year, and now he's the assistant at Missouri. And so that's a win. He went off and he got a full-time job at an SEC school. Very happy, wonderful, wonderful human. And then this next one is Ro Coleman, who played for us many years ago. And he was working with inner city young kids here in Nashville, and thought that was the path he wanted. But then he saw this and he said, I think I want to get into college coaching. So now he's with us, and this is his second year as well.
Wow. So, and privately funded, which I imagine you're fundraising or privately doing it yourself.
We're privately doing it ourselves. We tried to figure out what it would cost, for someone to get an apartment here. And, instead of starting a foundation or, giving to other charities, this is what we fund. This is what we fund. And so, and we feel really good about it, because, one thing I don't like is I don't like talking about a problem if you don't have some idea of a solution. And so we had kept discussing this over and over. And I said, well, let's do something, instead of just talk about it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an African-American young male. It could be a female. It could be a Latin, coach. It's just somebody that maybe has have a hard time getting started in the field, and we're just giving them a leg up.
Incredible work. Okay, so let's talk about overcoming adversity. We experience this all the time in athletics, on and off our field. So what do you think's been the toughest adversity you faced, and what did you rely on to get through those moments?
Oh, okay. Adversity, that would be by far, the worst thing that's happened to us here at Vanderbilt was the loss of one of our players. In 2016, we lost Donnie Everett on a beautiful sunny afternoon in the postseason. He went fishing with some of our other players and he drowned. And I honestly, I didn't know if we'd ever work through that grief. I didn't know if our program could really work through that grief. And it just was life-changing for us. We loved him, and it was just so traumatic for our team. And obviously we lost in the postseason that year. And I would say it took 2 or 3 more years to kind of get our footing back. And We really embraced his parents, who live in Clarksville, so not far away, and he was an only child. And we just wrapped our arms around them and really stumbled through the journey of grief with them. And neither Tim nor I had been that close to grief like that, and learned a lot about the power of grief and the journey that you're on, you know, when you're dealing with it. And what got us through, I mean, I think, you know, the beauty that happened was that was 2016. He was a freshman. In 2019, the group that were his pallbearers went to Omaha and won a national championship. And when they won that national championship in Omaha, his parents were there. They were brought up onto the stage, on the field, and celebrated with these boys that had loved their son. And that needs to be like, I don't know, a book or a movie. It was just so moving. And I just think, I don't know, you're never through grief, you know, it's never over. But I would say just being with those boys and watching their journey and then embracing his parents, as difficult as that is at times. We took them to the Cape that summer. That's really difficult. They come into games sometimes. They're very close friends of ours. We have Christmas with them.
Really?
You know, we've just tried to be there for them. That's all we can do. We're not going to feel what they feel. You know, there's nothing, you know, but we just try to be there for them. So that would be for sure the worst thing that's ever happened here while we've been here.
And it appears to me that you coach and you do this with your heart open.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Heart open. And I'm sure there are times when that causes some pain, some rejection, some hurt, because parents can expect more playing time, or I mean, there would be a whole thing that goes on. But then I want you to tell me, from your perspective, why is it paid off for you to be wide open, to give your cell phone number out to recruits' moms or players' moms, and to be there? Like, there's just a lot of coaches' wives that want to be a little distant because it can be hard to navigate that. Yeah. But there's something special about inviting them all the way in to your lives. Well,
yes, thank you for noticing that. I think that's just maybe who I am. And I gravitate towards super honest people that are open, and that's just how I want to be. I think it makes people feel better, more vulnerable, and they tend to open up more. But I will say this, I do also know my boundaries with parents, and you know, it's a balance, because you are friends with parents, but I give them their space. I don't sit with parents. I have my own seat, and it's not near the parents, because I don't want them to feel any kind of certain way when I'm around. I want them to be able to talk to other parents and express their joy or their frustration. And I have been burned early on. And so I do know that balance, you know, of you know, who you thought might be your friend as a parent, and then their son isn't playing, and then they're not your friend. I get that. So I wouldn't say I'm wide open all the time with everybody, but for the most part, yeah, why not? We're not here very long. You might as well just, you know, get to know people and get to know relationships, because when all this is said and done, I don't ever remember games or scores, but I can name every single boy that played here the last 23 years. And that's just relationships. I mean, that's all you have when it's over. You know, who cares about the trophies and this and that? That's all you have.
So well stated. Well, I love your perspective. I could talk to you for hours. Okay. Like, I mean, you get me off track here. This is beautiful. Good. Okay. So how do you stay so grounded and steady? And I mean, you're all in. This is a full-time job for you, but how do you keep it from yourself going highs and lows? Because baseball is the longest season.
Yeah, not easy. But well, you know, I have a hiking group of women. I hike probably 4 mornings a week. I also still play tennis. I play pickleball. So my morning from 6 a.m. to 12 is mine. Okay. And I love like I said, I love hiking and tennis, and, I'll run the errands and take care of the house and do all those things. And, I think that is grounding. And of course I have 2 daughters. I mean, 39 and 36, they ground me. Now I have 3 grandchildren, and that's just a whole different life. They're just wonderful. And I get on the phone with them, and that's grounding for sure. They don't care if you win or lose.
No, they love mom and dad. Did they enjoy coming to the games? Do they love being a part of this?
The girls?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting to have watched them, because when they were little, they were little sisters of all the players, and then they were the same age, and you're like, oh, I hope they don't date, and then they're older, and then they're the older sisters. Right. And, now they're like grown-ups, and, but it's been fun, and they've loved it. Oh yeah. They love it. They follow it. They've been a big part of it. No doubt.
Okay. So your husband, Coach Corbin, became the 10th active NCAA Division I coach to reach 1,000 career wins. You wrote a letter to him. Oh, it's beautiful. Cried. I'm going to attach it to this interview so the viewers can see it. What prompted that? Tell me all about it.
Well, the marketing department at Vanderbilt came to me and said, we have an idea. I didn't even know he was coming up on 1,000. Honestly, we really try to take the target away from wins and losses and just try to think of other things. But they said he's coming up on 1,000, and we want you to write a letter about your life together, your journey to this 1,000 wins. And I said, oh, I don't know. And they said, and we want you to do it on camera. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. But they talked me into it. So I started writing it, and I was like, oh, this sounds terrible. I don't even like this. We don't even like wins. Like, we don't talk about wins. We just talk about the journey and trying to get better every day. And then hopefully the scoreboard will take care of itself. And so it really seemed awkward to even talk about wins when that's not a thing for us. So anyway, I tore that up, and I was up late one night, and I was actually in Charleston, where my daughter had just given birth to twins in January. And I just was up one night, and I started writing it, and I never stopped. And it was one take. I mean, it was just one letter, and I felt good about it, but I didn't think the marketing group would like it, because it was not what they had asked for. But I sent it to them, and I said, this is it. This is what I have for you. And if you don't like it, then do something else, because this is all I'm going to do. And they said, no, we love it. And so they had me come back to Nashville. They had, a studio set up, and I read it in one take.
Oh my gosh, that's hard.
Right? And I was so nervous. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to keep this crew there forever. I read it in one take, and it was one of the easiest things I've ever done, because it literally just came from my heart. It was not scripted or not planned, or it was just boom. And he was shocked. And it's hard to surprise him. Yeah. And the beauty of it was, which I was hoping, I wasn't there. I didn't want to be there for when he saw it. And I was actually in Charleston, because when Molly had her babies in January, I got an Airbnb there for 3 months. Hence, coaches' wives, sometimes we have to leave, what we're doing.
Right.
And so I was actually in Charleston helping her with the twins when he won his 1,000. And the players tricked him into coming into, they knew about it, and they tricked him into coming into the classroom where they had queued it up on the big screen. And he was really surprised.
It's incredible. It was beautiful. I cried. I love every piece of it. It was amazing. Okay, so I want you to speak into my life. Can you do that? Speak into my life as a coach's wife. Here, you've been a head coach's wife for years. Mm-hmm. What's some of the best advice you have gathered along the way that you have learned through this process that you could share with me and my viewers? But I mean, what stands out? What makes a great coach's wife?
Well, I think early on I saw I didn't really have a mentor as a coach's wife, but I could see some of them, and I could see there's 2 pathways. One is to be sort of bitter and resentful that your husband is spending, more time with other people's children than your own. And it just felt, I just saw that. I see that, and you've seen that. And then there was another pathway that was just like, you know what? I really like what my husband's doing. It's admirable work. I'm going to support this, and I'm going to join in and share his passion. And I know he's going to miss stuff. I get it. But I know he's not on the golf course. Okay. He's not at the bar. He's actually working with kids. He's doing something really well. And I'm going to embrace that, and I'm going to follow that, and I'm going to bring my children into that world. I'm not going to expect him to always come to my children's world. I'm going to bring my children in. And I mean, the girls and I, we would show up at practice, or when Hannah was a softball player, she'd go down in the cages with the team and, you know, take a few hacks. I mean, I always incorporated what I could of my family into that life, so I didn't feel so, you know, separate. So I do think, you know, I'm saying don't pick a lane, don't pick the resentful, bitter lane, because it just doesn't work out. But, you know, try to really embrace it and join your family into it. And hopefully your husband will also encourage you and your family and your children to be part of it. I mean, that's what we do at Vanderbilt. All the coaches, bring your little ones onto the field after we're done. We want that. You know, we want our players to see healthy marriages and healthy families. That's a learning tool as well. You know, so I would say that. And I don't know what else. I don't know about any other advice. Just keep a sense of humor, and, you know, and look to and do what you're doing. I mean, this is so helpful, because I do think you can have your friends that do other things, but they don't get it.
Right.
And I have lovely friends that I love.
Sure.
They're never going to get it. The only people that really get it are other coaches' wives. So make sure you have, you know, you have those coaches' wives in your life that you could call up and say, hey, this is what's happening, or whatever. It's a sorority that's really, really special.
It is special. I think it's special to have a combination, like you mentioned, of maybe three, right? 3 different sections, which is some of the friends that aren't involved with the ups and the downs.
Yeah,
right?
that's nice. Yeah.
You, right? The ones on your staff. I mean, you're grueling with them,
Yes.
right? You're grinding it out. Yep. And then maybe a coach's wife that has nothing to do with you across the country, not maybe not the same sport, or doesn't compete head to head again. Sometimes you're like, hey, you know,
yeah. One of my best friends is, you know, Fumi Franklin. She's the head, you know, James is the head coach at Penn State. And, you know, she's his wife. I mean, we talk all the time, and other baseball coaches from around the country and football coaches. Yeah, it's just, you know, it's a different sport, but it's a lot of the same kind of issues and challenges, you know, I would say.
Without question. Okay. So basically you've answered my question, which is, what do you think you're doing that's helping correlate to some of the success that you're having? You're doing a lot. Is there anything you haven't mentioned that you have done, especially when the kids were little and you're still kind of juggling some of this? Or was there some things that you're like, I can't spend all the time, but if you could pinpoint a few things that you think made an impact when you were really spread thin?
Oh, you know, I mean, just really being there for the players, I think, and letting their families know that you're present. You might be raising your own children, but, you know, just something small. Like I always I'm always here on move-in day, and I'll come to the move-in, and it's emotional for the parents. It's emotional, and it's tiring, and it's sweaty, and it's irritable work. But I'll pop in with Tim, and we'll just give them a hug and say, you know, I drive a pickup truck. So if you need some help, if you need me to get, you know, after you leave, if your son needs a bike or something, just here. And I put a sticky note just on the fridge or on the bunk bed, and it's my cell. And I say, hey, you guys put my cell in your phone. And then we leave. You know, we're not in their way, but it's just a small reminder of, because that's a tough day. You know, for a lot of families. So just kind of knowing that someone gets you, and they're going to look after your child. And like I said, just take your little ones. You got little ones, you know, I know you might not live near the field. Take them to the field. Take a picnic to the field. Take coloring books and crayons and things, and let them kind of immerse themselves and learn and be present there. I think is really important for everybody.
Oh, I love it. I echo that. Okay, so how do you make big career decisions? I would imagine with a couple of national titles, you've heard from a lot of different schools going, hey, you know what? I bet we can up that salary. You could come over here. How about major leagues? I'm sure that somebody in the past 20 years has offered your husband a job. You don't have to say where or whatever, but how do you navigate big career decisions?
Well, honestly, it's probably simpler than you think. I mean, we have been approached, several times, and if we're on a visit, if we go somewhere and I'm doing something and this is what we've done in the past. We did this a few times. We'll get back to the hotel that night and he'll go 1 through 10. What do you got? And I'll give it a number and he'll say 1 through 10, and I'll say 1 through 10. What do you got? And if it's not a 9 or 10, then probably not going to do it, and if we don't go visit somewhere, I mean, we'll talk about things, but when it gets down to it, I mean, we just love our life here and this feels like home. And we just haven't really seen anything yet that has made us, I'm not saying we wouldn't ever, because what that's like. I mean, did I think we'd be here for 23 years? No, not really. I mean, that's kind of unprecedented, like coaches aren't. And sometimes I wonder if there's a shelf life for coaches. Sometimes I think people get tired of you, honestly, and get tired of you winning and just get bored with you. And I wonder sometimes if we should go elsewhere. I mean, it is a topic that we discuss, but it's about enjoying your life and feeling good about what you do every day. And we haven't found anything that makes us want to leave here yet.
I thought of a question while you were talking to the coach's wife, and this is like flip the script, like to a coach's wife whose husband is struggling, right? They're having losing seasons, or they're nervous about getting fired. And maybe they're comparing their journey. This person gets a break, or how did this happen? Or we didn't get this. Talk me through some of those motions. How do you stay focused when you have a negative situation? What do you remind yourself of?
Well, yeah, I mean, the last year or two, we haven't, finished how we wanted to finish. Sure. And, and then you hear people like, oh, maybe he should retire, or, we planned our vacation to Omaha and you guys didn't make it there. I mean, we hear it all. And I mean, I will say coaches' wives, they have thick skin, and I mean, so many people come up, well, I mean, too bad about your season, even though we went to the NCAA tournament, and I'm just like, okay, all right. Just because we didn't win a national championship, we've created this monster. Right. And, when you finish really high, then it's difficult to keep it going on a certain level. And, people have high expectations and they don't really have realistic expectations because, 3 years ago, we lost 9 players to the draft. And what people don't understand is that was really unfortunate because that perpetuates itself over the next 2 or 3 years. So, you're kind of down. But you can't explain that to people. You just say, yeah, sorry. Okay. We'll try to make your holiday plans, to Omaha work for you one time here pretty soon. But, I just think however it didn't, there's only one person that's happy at the end of the season. There's only one team. Now, yeah, you win some bowls, but in baseball, there's only one team that's happy. Everyone else is pretty miserable. And that doesn't change whether you're Vanderbilt or whether you're a high school team, or it doesn't really matter. If you lose and you didn't win the national championship, you're bummed and you're trying to figure out what you can do differently. That doesn't change at any level. And this is a misconception too, that I want to say this to young, wives and coaches. Tim Corbin didn't just be born and end up at Vanderbilt. I mean, he was a middle school teacher and coach. And, and then he was a grad student, a grad assistant. He lived in he was a dorm counselor at Presbyterian. He actually built his own field. I mean, everyone is paying their dues along the way. And and I think some people just think, oh, to get to Vanderbilt, you know, he just started there. He didn't start there. You know, it's a long, long journey. I mean, he's been at this for 40 years and started where, you know, like I said, in middle school.
Wow.
So anyway, I don't know what point that was, but I just, you know,
I just love that. I love that. That's, somebody needed to hear that. Maybe it's me, but I love that.
Losing a lot, it is tough. You just have to be that, you know, that soft place they can land, you know, just really talk through it and know that, I guess my point earlier was, you know, the struggles at every level, it's the same feeling. We felt just as terrible losing in our regional, or Clemson's regional last year, as someone in their high school finals. I mean, it doesn't matter what level you are, you still are in pain. You don't like it. You've got to figure out what to do differently. And, you know, you're bummed, you're sad. I mean, I go through a real mourning period every summer. I mean, people go, oh, now that the season's over, you're going to probably have time off and take a vacation. No, I'm going to mourn the loss of the season because it didn't end how we wanted to. I'm going to mourn the fact that we're losing players to the draft or graduation. So now I'm empty nesting in a big way, and I'm sad. I'm sad because we got to run these camps in 100-degree weather. And also we're going to recruit all summer.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, it's not, you know, it's there's always something that you have to work through emotionally to get to the next step.
There are times when and I've never said this on the podcast, I get so excited before the season because you have everyone you know is like, oh, I love Arkansas college football. Love college football. I can't wait. You know, and the party's like, it's about to be hard and long.
Yeah.
And you love it.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you miss watching the game as a fan.
Yep.
Because you're not having to go up and down with it. Like, do you have all these emotions as well?
Absolutely. I love the fall. I love the fall. We play 2 practice games against that don't matter. I love it. It's great. Right. We practice all the time. We do. We take them whitewater rafting. We're going to take them to Las Vegas here pretty soon to see UFC fights. I mean, we do fun things in the fall. The spring, I mean, I don't want to say I dread it because that sounds really terrible.
No, dread. It's
but
just...
I know what you mean. I can't watch a game and just like kick back and, you know, have a good time in the outfield with everybody else. You know, it doesn't feel that way. And God knows, I mean, come May and June in the postseason, forget it. I'm like in the fetal position. I mean, it's terrible.
It is. I mean, going back to your open, which was, this is stressful.
It's stressful. It is stressful.
I also want to talk about the community service that your players do with Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. They go over there, and as we know, my daughter gets treatment there. Her specialist team is there, I should say, taking care of her for the past, I believe, 9 years. Yeah. Very incredible group there. And your players go and visit with kids.
They do. They do.
My gosh.
And I mean, I'm not happy that you've been there, but I'm happy that you've seen what they offer, because it really is a really special place, and we're so lucky to have it. This whole region of the country is lucky to have it, and the people there are just wonderful. But our players do go over there and you know, see children, and Tim has gone over there several times at really some really painful moments too. For, you know, young kids that maybe have come to our camp that might be, you know, that are losing their life, or the parents are saying goodbye or whatever. He's been there and he's done that, which is, you know, sobering, but yet really moving in a lot of ways. But we're available. They know that Tim and I are available, and our players are available anytime they need us. And we are lucky too that they bring some of their kids that are healthy enough to come over and watch our games.
Oh, I love that. And Vanderbilt's unique because I could be wrong, but I think the med school, the Children's Hospital, the undergrad master's program, I think it's all right there, right?
Yeah, we're just in the Vanderbubble. We're all
I love
there.
it. I'm trying to stay as close to campus as I can.
Yeah. Super close to campus. Yeah, really. Yeah, it's good.
Recruiting tips. Do you have any recruiting tips before we wrap up for coaches' wives? Without giving up the secret sauce, we don't want you to give out any trade secrets here. But how can an assistant wife be a great recruiter?
Well, I mean, she can say, hey, I'm going to get a babysitter and I'm going to come to that dinner tonight and I'm going to get to know that mom and I'm going to be there to answer any of her questions. That's good. We're doing that tonight with a family that's coming here and try to be engaged with the parents and answer any questions they can do. And I would say that's it. Just, if they need you, be available to, because your connection to a certain mom, grandma, aunt, whoever is raising that child might spark them to have a feeling of, I want to send my child here,
right.
Just do what you can.
I love it. Okay. What is the game of baseball meant to your family?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, it's obviously, our livelihood. It's what we think about all the time. I find it to be fascinating when people say it's boring. I instantly know they don't really understand baseball because I didn't even know. I would have said it was boring before I, got so involved and married Tim. But there's such a game, within the game, and there's, for all the stat rats out there, there's numbers that you can just dive into, and there's just so much that is going on in a game. And I mean, it's just really fun. But like I said earlier, it's just the relationships. When all this is said and done, I don't remember any games or scores. But like I said, I know every player that's ever played here. I currently have an account at a jewelry store here in Nashville where I get the same wedding gift for every Vandy boy and we're invited to probably 10 weddings a year.
That's
try to go to as many as we can. And they also have an account at a baby store because now we've been here long enough where all these boys are married and now reproducing. And so there's baby after baby after baby. So I give the same baby gift to all of them too. So also, along with going to practice every day, training every day, I usually am stopping by the jewelry store or the baby store to pick up or mail a gift. And that just is a never ending part-time job, which I love.
Imagine.
Because it means relationships. Because it means relationships. Not only do we have a relationship with that young man that's now a man, but now we've probably gotten to know his wife, and now they've invited us in to see their child, and they let us know from all over the country, and that's the best gift.
I bet you love those alumni. Probably most rewarding aspect about being a coach's wife.
Yeah, we had a big Christmas party. Yeah, we had a big Christmas party last Christmas. The first time we'd done it, when we invited there's over 300 of them. And I mean, I think 150 of them came from all over the country and their wives. And we had it downtown. We rented out a place downtown. It was really fun. It was really good.
Wow. I love this idea. You're doing it right. I mean, in all aspects. I love this. The model program.
I don't know.
Yes, it is. Okay, rapid fire. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I really want to know this answer. Who is the most famous person in your phone?
Famous person. Oh boy. I would, probably all these big leaguers that we have, you know, like David Price, Sonny Gray, Brian Reynolds, Dansby Swanson. I mean, Walker Buehler, they're all in my phone. And I might throw in Bill Belichick as well.
Oh, nice. There you go. Okay. What's one item on your bucket list that you have checked off and one that needs to be checked off?
Oh, God. Okay, the best trip I ever took, and I did it without Tim, was I went to Normandy, France. I biked through France, through the countryside, and went to Normandy and experienced, and I was not even a history buff, but it was so moving and life-changing that I would say I didn't know it was on my bucket list until I did it. And then I'm like, that should be on everyone's bucket list. It was amazing. And it makes you so proud to be an American. And the thing left on my bucket list is to take Tim there with me. because he hasn't gone and he would love it.
Who are the last 3 people you have texted?
Okay. My hiking group, we text every day about, when we're going to hike. I'm on a thread with my daughters, and probably Amy is our director of baseball ops, and she basically runs mine and Tim's life.
Funniest account you follow on Instagram?
Funniest? Ooh, I'm not really on social media much, but I saw this thing the other day. I don't know. It popped up on Instagram, and I was laughing out loud, which I typically don't do. But it was, have you seen the fake scare where someone like jumps up like they're scared?
Yes.
And then people it's funny. Look up on Instagram, like fake scare.
Fake scare. Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know what account it is, but it's just lots of videos of people pretending they see something on the ground and everybody freaks out or something. That was funny. I don't know.
I'll look it up. Okay. What about your life impresses your kids the most?
Ooh, impresses them. Wow. Okay. Not my cooking, obviously, but I would have to say just my kind of courage to climb mountains all over the world. They love that I'm still super active and adventurous, because I wouldn't say they really are, but I mean, put me in the wilderness, send me to the mountains. They are impressed with that, and they're impressed with the level of tennis I still play, I think.
I love it. Okay, this is so good. Okay, what would be your walk-up song? I would imagine you've heard a lot of walk-up songs.
I've heard a lot of walk-up songs, mostly bad ones. This is a topic I'm passionate about, and I talk to the players about it every year.
Okay.
Then I'll answer the question. My walk-up song, it would be something, maybe a Bruce Springsteen, a Bob Seger, a Born in the USA, something. There's 2 schools of thought on this, and okay. I'll be brief. One is to have a song that puts you in your own vibe. That's what most players do, and it's usually bad rap. And then the other school of thought is, which is my school of thought and Tim's and some of our players, is to put out a song that gets the crowd into it, clapping, singing, excited. And what happens, which a lot of boys don't understand, is the energy from the crowd. I believe in the boomerang effect. The energy from the crowd goes down into them during their at-bat and gives them more energy and helps them with their at-bat. And I have this discussion I was just talking about it the other day with some of them. I said, give me something good. Like, I want to get excited and I want to remember it. If it's memorable, it's good.
That's right.
Even if it's peanut butter jelly, one kid had that one year, or just something that's good that you can clap to, that you can sing to. If you give me bad, slow rap, I'm going to go get a hot dog. I'm not interested, So I'm passionate about the walk-up song, but mine would definitely get the crowd into it. Bruce Springsteen.
This is perfect. I'm going to play this for my daughter who plays softball right now. We're going for the crowd. Get the energy going.
They'll give you the energy.
Yes.
They'll give you the energy.
Yes. I love it. Okay. What would you say to a pitcher on the mound or in the circle? My daughter, what's your best speech?
Oh, pitching is I feel for you. If you're a mom of a pitcher, that's the worst. That little child is out there in the middle of the field. Everybody's watching. I would say take a deep breath and throw it to the glove.
There you go. Perfect. You have been incredible, Maggie. Thank you for being a part of us today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And good luck, all you coaches' wives.
This podcast is brought to you by Ruler of Hope. Ruler of Hope is a nonprofit that supports medically fragile children. If you'd like to make a tax-deductible donation, you can use Venmo at Ruler-Hope or online at rulerofhope.org.
For a replay of this episode or previous episodes, visit coacheswifelife.org and follow us on social media at Coaches Wife Life.